When Sandy and Bob Tomlinson designed their 5-star Austin Energy green build home, they wanted to live outside too. For gardens that equally respect resources, from the beginning they worked with designer Annie Gillespie and associate Rachel Beavers. First on Annie's list, water retention and control.
Whenever I think about water, which is about 85% of the time, I think about flood events, and I have to plan for flood events because here in Austin in the Central Texas area, we often get 7, 8, 9-inch rains. They don't happen often, but when they do happen, they can do great damage. So everything I do in terms of design is thinking in terms of flood events. In addition, they put strict impervious cover limitations here. Generally, impervious cover runs around 45% of the lot, but in this case, it was a little over 22%.
Since the sloping lot isn't far from Lady Bird Lake, one of Annie's solutions to catch runoff is a filtration trench. 8.5 feet wide, topped with river rock, a 4-foot deep stratum of various materials cleanses water as it percolates.
So then as you meander around both side yards, I often use gravel for side yards because it helps with runoff. A lot of the downspouts are often directed into side yards. It's not really a good area for grass because it doesn't function in any way. So I'm a believer in being able to walk around your house. So the gravel allows people to walk around the side yards and go from front to back. When we do our aggregate paths, we'll actually use road base and tamp it down pretty solid and then do a light dressing of the pea gravel so that when you walk, you don't mush through too much, because there's a lot of shifting with pea gravel. Another choice for aggregate would have been decomposed granite because it packs better. And so people like that a lot because it packs better and it's easier to walk on, but part of the problem with decomposed granite is it also washes.
River rock in the side yard's dry creek bed slows and filters water from the front yard.
The driveway was engineered so that it would shed water in a particular area, and that's where I started the side gravel path. And so that side path actually acts as a path as well as a drainage catchment from all the runoff from the driveway. And in addition, there's a number of downspouts from the roof that water is directed into this area. And then that terminates into the dry creek bed here in the backyard. And then that creek bed is directed into the filtration pond. So there's no runoff going on here.
Even at the front door, Annie designed a more efficient rain chain.
People choose to use these rain chains, and there's some challenges to that because water can kind of splat all over. So we often create either a drain basin with boulders and river rocks and mini dry creek beds, or we'll take the drain chain and direct it into a big urn or pot, and then as that overflows and the water goes down into gravel. Gravel is great to slow water down. What you want to do with water is slow it down. So we slow it down with gravel, and then in the front where the rain chain is, that's kind of the low spot of the house. So because I got involved so early on, I talked to the builder and we went ahead and put a 6-inch PVC pipe in the foundation. So all that water that comes off the roof there in that corner eventually ends up into that 6-inch pipe and ends up in the backyard and into the filtration trench.
Drip irrigation sustained plants while getting established and in driest periods. To comply with deed restrictions, they installed a 1,400-gallon rain pillow to spot water natives.
But we decided to put the water catchment system underneath the deck because if we had put it elsewhere on the property, we would have to calculate that as part of impervious cover.
An advantage to the hilltop property is viewpoints from above. In back, Annie gave it ground-level access and appreciation.
The lot really dropped away quite dramatically, so we did some retaining so that when you come down off the deck, you feel like you're kind of landed on solid ground here. And this also allowed for a place to pause and put some furniture and kind of frame it with more plants, and so you feel like you're sitting in a garden.
Green Star rating requires 6 inches of good organic soil, especially important on rock-solid gardens like this. Annie and Rachel chose native and well-adapted plants, combining evergreens and perennial color.
Not only is there architectural requirements in order to get that 5-star rating, the landscaping comes into play too.
Clusters of nectar and pollen plants enrich wildlife diversity. And there are plenty of hangouts for lizards and their kin. To play around a little, bowling balls add whimsy to the dry creek lane. To top things off, Annie's team dismantled the standout planter at the Tomlinsons' former garden. Near the house, Annie designed the patio fence for privacy. Going down the slope, she used cattle panel for more air circulation and to visually open the space. Sandy and Bob get into the swing of it all, thanks to a surprise gift from his children. In front, Annie went for dryland curbside appeal. Big bold grasses and flowering perennials deepen the scope to match the home's clean, tall lines. To entice front yard voyages, Annie and Rachel broke up straightforward views with meandering paths.
When people came, they didn't just walk down the driveway to get to the front door. I wanted them to pass through the garden. And then there's a section of cedar elms, oaks, and some baby mountain laurels that were coming along that I wanted to save and nurture. So I left that area fairly native, and it's really starting to come on after about 2 years.
When it's absolutely time to go inside, Annie's path to the front door achieves destination for footsteps and water runoff. Luter's pavers make easy footing while gravel underlay soaks in water. And like runoff, it's impossible for people to simply march through, since Annie and Rachel plan slow-down discovery that doesn't compete with the home's architecture. To support wildlife with plants and water, a resourceful recycling bubbler fountain contributes to the serenity while hydrating thirsty birds and bees. Oh, maybe you'd like to hang outside a little longer. The front yard patio, enclosed by native shrubbery, invites slow-down time.
That's one of the reasons why I used aggregate so much, because it allows people to create paths and create patios and outdoor living spaces. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to create these intimate spaces that I try to create.
Respect is what this home and garden is all about. Since we do live on the land, we can nourish it, protect it, and enable it to enrich our connections and responsibility.